let's look at what I've been doing recently. So I've building a stairs entrance, this retaining wall, and ending it with the flower beds. So I got this, two-tiered thing here, and then on the back I want to put another bed, but I'm going to build that out of rocks and whatnot. We have electric coming out for parties or working or something. I'm going to put a couple step lights in here. Then this step continued around to be a bench, a good seating height.
So in this video, I'm going to show you how I built this. This is going to be a framing video, metal framing video for the armature for your Ferrocement projects. Now, with most things, you got to start with the foundation, and I'm going to try to blast through the foundation as quick as possible because there's not much to it. On this particular project, I decided to go with a footer, and the footer is nice because it's heavy, it's strong, it'll prevent water from flowing underneath a wall in case you just built something right on the surface, which I've seen people do. So what I'm setting up here is I'm trying to have continuous reinforcement running from the footer into the Ferrocement wall. So I'm getting my cattle panels in place, and I'm staking them, exactly where I want them in the trench I dug with a rebar, and then the rebar will be, set in the footer, and then also go up and be part of the structure of the wall. And I'm trying to build sort of like a monolithic metal structure. Since this is a flat wall, I think it's important to do this because there's not going to be, those compound curves that really make Ferrocement shine with strength. And the other structural component of this wall will be a flange on top of it. So you're going to have a rigid footer and a rigid flange, and then the Ferrocement in the middle is like a drum head or something, being held tight and hopefully not flexing too much once I get it backfilled. I'm also going to install the hardware cloth and whatever remesh or whatever I have to actually hold the cement in place, and with a few inches below the level of the footer, just to continue this monolithic thing. And also it's easier, this hand poured uneven footer in this hand dug trench. It's not going to be a perfectly flat thing, and it's kind of hard to match the hardware cloth to it exactly after the fact. So this is just all the efforts that I'm going through in order to get my frame, the lower framing roughed in and into a footer. And then now we're going to start the fun part, which is actually building some complex shapes, the stairs and whatnot.
All right, so this is going to be the opening for my stairway over here. And what I have envisioned is some diagonal stair that goes through with the third step extending out as a bench. And I've changed my plans slightly since I drew this. I want uniform stairs, and I don't want this oval landing here. I don't want anyone getting confused and tripping. So I went out and I just looked up the rules. So the International Residential Code calls for a maximum rise or fall of 7 3/4 inches, maximum rise of 7 3/4 inches, maximum run of at least 10 inches. As the run goes down, the run needs to go up, blah, 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 blah. But basically, I'm just going with the 7-Eleven stair. And what I was reading says it ends up being very comfortable. Some call it the lazy stair because it seems to take no effort to use, but it still feels like you are getting somewhere. So I like that. So this middle step, which is 21 inches high at the top surface, so you go 7, 14, 21 for the second, it's going to be half in and half out of my wall here. Using my tape measure, I did 11 inches by 7 inches. I made a few marks, and then I used a straight edge, marked it. And then on this side, since the top of the step will be starting there, the outside lip of the third step is there, but the outside lip of the step will be out here, I went up, I burned 7 inches for where the top of the third step would be, because we're sort of diagonaling that way towards the parking lot. And I started up higher. So I'm just going to cut it. This is the center point as I see it.
See, if it was me, I would have just cut out the mirror image of what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah, I thought about it. Alright, bending cow panels actually not as easy as you think, because it is so rigid that if you just try to bend it here, you're more likely to put a little crook in the wire while everything else stays straight. Let me show you. Well, maybe that's not the best part. Okay, right here. So we're gonna try to bend this, right? Let's see, go to do it. Oh, and what you wind up with is a little S in it like that, while everything else is straight. So here's what I do. Oh yeah, but also you get kind of forceful with it. Like, say you use something to pry with and bend it, you're more likely to pop these welds out. So what I've been doing is I brace it with a tool like this. Let's put that against my side, and then I start to shape it by hand. I'll go down. Bottom, move back to the top. And just muscle through it. I'm going to bend this one back, pointing about that way.
So my initial plan was to build a ramp that was at the angle of the rise and run of the stairs, and then I could pour concrete stairs on top of it. But I had a hard time with that. I couldn't get it to go through diagonally, and I made some real stupid mistakes early on with how I'm bending this piece of metal right here. I decided I was just going to totally shit can that idea.
Oh my god, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Yep, I like to finish it off with a little bow. Cute. Anyways, I'm a mess. I don't know how to haul rebar. I went to the store, got some materials. You know, these 3/8 inch rebars, they cost like $2 or something. Got 10 of them, because I just don't like this. I don't like this at all. So I'm just gonna shit can what I was doing and just frame it out of rebar. Something I know how to do. I don't know. Can't win them all. It's just those cattle panels are too stiff and rigid, and also it's like I gotta get that slope pretty perfect if I'm gonna have uniform stairs, and with the material that just doesn't flow right for what I'm trying to do, I don't know if I could even do it. Look at that majestic truck. Alright, if I'm going to freeform this thing, I'm going to go ahead and reinforce it a little bit. I'm going to build a lip. So the dimensions on this was 6 inches across, and then it was a foot deep, and then I had a little 2-inch section, on the end here. I don't know if you can see this, but they don't go all the way down. You know, I sort of figured that just keeping the top rigid would reinforce the whole wall. So I had these set every 1 foot. So I'm just going to manufacture some of these. I'll show you how I do that. Alright, so these only have to be around 18 inches. So I just eyeball them. I couldn't find my soapstone, which is unfortunate. So I'm just going to use a Sharpie. So I'm going to mark 2 inches, 6 inches. Now this one, it wasn't long enough to make 2, so I just left it long. I'm going to start with a 2-inch. Stick it out just slightly. Put my hole on it. Bend it. Check it. So I get about a right angle. Then try to, I want this bend to be on the same plane as this bend. Put my pipe on there and try to pull it straight. That's pretty good. So I got a little shape. Let's see if these dimensions are even close. So that one's a little big. That's 6.5. 7 end to end, 6.5 on the top. So I'm going to move my marks a little further out from the vise. So when I get my bend, add the bend to it, I'll be closer to the 6. All right, so 20-foot piece made 12 of these, right? And a 20-foot piece cost just shy over $2. And so you could do the math if you have a $2 to get you 12 foot of these, $1 more per side, then something in the middle. You get 10 foot of lip for, I don't know, $3.50 or $4. That's pretty cheap, right? So I'm just going to attach these quick with pigtails. And then from here, I'll go 4, 8, 12. I think what I want to do is put more of a curve in it. I'm going to put enough curve in this piece that they'll meet something like that, and it'll wrap around to it. Alright, so I've exposed the ugly truth of my design process. Even if I draw what I want, I still don't know how to do it. So check out that curve. You see that? Whoa. Just a nice little sexy curve. Yeah, I'm going to make this something impossibly hard to Ferrocement from the bottom and the back, trying to get in there, but it'll be worth it. And I'm going to do something similar on this side. So I'm going to try to do a gentle curve this way, because I want the top to be wider than this 4-foot area. So that's a real steep opening over there, and this will be a shallow curve. Alright, so I'm working on my bottom step. I'm going to start here and then use it as a place where I can make measurements and get everything else accurate. Done accurate. So I started with, I did this crazy bend. So I bent a 90, so I have something I can build a brace with. And then I did a gentle curve. I just used, I had the rebar in a vise, and I just bent it ever so slightly until I got this gentle curve that I like with a pipe wrench. So the bottom step is going to come out, I don't know, about this far, I think. and it's going to be a bench and you know, just a little ledge you can put flower pots on or something. I don't know. I'm just going to eyeball it. So what I'm thinking for this side is I'm just going to do a 90-degree going down that'll fit in there, and I can tie it a few times, and then I'll get my spacing done. So I'm just going to say I'm going to bend it there, and I want something about a little over a foot long, maybe even longer. A little longer, or I'll cut it. Drop that in there loose for now. And you can sort of imagine what my step will look like. So we're going to try to keep 11 inches across here. So the first step will be something like that. Oops. I have a couple options here. I could cut a little hole here and try to sink that in behind the hardware cloth, but I don't think that's going to gain me anything, because I'm going to build a little curved brace over here to give it a little extra strength so it can be stood on and whatever. Alright, shorten that just a little bit. So the height of this thing, the other side, the curve of the rebar is sitting right on top of that piece. So I'm going to attach this in a similar fashion just to get started, see if that looks good or not. Alright, looks pretty good. Do one more on the bottom. Hope I'm not blocking the view with my head. Alright, let's try this. Oh, not too tight. Pull that over. Oh, I'm still a little bit tight. I'll be gentle. Alright, well, that's good enough to start with. Alright, so let's see if I even eyeballed this right. Yeah, see, I'm pretty close. I'm right at 10.5 inches, so it won't take much to make that, like, the outside edge is 11 or something. So I'm going to do, on every foot, I'm going to do a cross piece. And I am warning, there will be welding of rebar again. I know that, you know, weakens the rebar, but I like it. It's a little bit hard to get it in there. But seriously, my thoughts on welding rebar. So if I weaken this metal, doesn't matter, because there will still be probably a horse panel on top of it, some fencing behind it, you know, hardware cloth on either side. I mean, if you have a rebar every foot or so, don't you imagine that when you add up all the different diameters of a foot worth of remesh, that you get close to the size of that metal anyways, you know, because all the tensile strength of everything. I just think there's so much redundance in building this way that it doesn't matter. I don't know, but I would like to hear some other people's opinions on this. Helps if you plug it in. Alright, so I'm going to try to turn this piece of rebar into a stair frame. Now all I gotta do is figure out something to do with these. I'm gonna go ahead and make one more. This is a practice. I want 4. That's pretty consistent. It'll be all right. Yeah, so I'm gonna attach them here, something like that, and then this piece is gonna be right underneath their lip there. All right, so right now this structure is still very floppy because I'm going to finish my beam up here and show you how I shape the wall to get it to hold its shape. Because I mean, I could just put a stick up here and hold this in place and keep building my stairs and work on that later. But I want it to be a little more robust right now. Alright, I bent this piece of rebar and it's going to be my inside. So I run a piece on the inside and the outside of my little flange here. And then I come back with a middle piece which I use to actually shape it. But let's start with this. I'm going to work it around under. So if I was just to pull this over without shaping it, it would completely change the shape of my wall. Oh. I'm going to do a little bend. A little bend. I'm gonna go ahead and suck as much of this together as I can. So the point of all this is I'm gonna try to get this wall to be a little bit more rigid, and in the process scoot this section over a few inches to keep it closer to that angle I want. So what I'm gonna do is with this piece, I'm going to install it over here, and then as I come down I'm going to weld it together, adjust the wall, weld it, adjust the wall, weld it, adjust the wall, weld it, and then here I'll put another piece at a angle and something like that, and try to make this wall move more as a single unit. I started a fire. Oops. Alright, I'm going to put that out and come back when I'm a little bit closer down here. Whatever, I tried. For now, all I'm going to do is that's all this looks like. Oh, high spot there. Alright, so now, now that I have my walls a little more stable, I'm going to go back and look at this first step I got. It's level, well, pretty level, like this, with these big gaps here and here and here. But these need to come, the back corners need to come down. So my piece here, I'm going to, I don't know, go make some adjustments, let's say. Yeah, I've reduced my gaps here, have it more flat in this plane and pretty flat in this plane. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next one. Because I initially started with a slope, you know, I wanted to build a ramp that I poured steps onto, and then I had trouble working with the this cow panel. I wound up butchering, you know, a 20-foot cow panel. So I'm going to salvage that material by building, you know, the top surface of the steps with it. See if I can bend it. Oh. Yeah, kind of. So this will be Alright, well I'm going to end the video here, and then the next video we're going to pick up with wrapping the thing in hardware cloth, and also backed it. Instead of using the remesh, I went with some welded galvanized fencing. But I just want to show you the final product that we got, the strength of the thing. So, I mean, it still wiggles, right? But the actual rigidity of the thing is pretty rigid, honestly. I'm actually pretty excited how this turned out, and I'm satisfied with its strength. So when you give it little gentle wigglings, you know, it'll shake, right? But the actual strength of this thing is pretty good. So once I get the cement on this thing, you know, it'll probably still have a little bit of flexibility, because Ferrocement, honestly, is a little bit flexible. But I'm thinking where the real rigidity is going to come from is having it anchored in the back, putting concrete on it, and then backfilling it and sort of like pre-tensioning it with load is going to make it where it's rock solid. But as I push here, can you see the how that top step deforms a little bit? I think all that will be corrected with putting concrete on it. You know, this is I think it's going to be plenty rigid, honestly. I wonder how this big flat panel is going to hold up. I wonder if I need to put some reinforcing behind it there. Because what if that balloons out once I put weight on it? I mean, it's going to be pretty rigid with concrete, but it might. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm a little bit torn on the format of these videos, what I should do. Because the most popular Ferrocement video I've ever done is just sort of like a fast-paced, you know, work porn video, if you know what I'm talking about, where you're just, you know, getting stuff done, had some music on it. But these longer format things, I guess it's more for a very particular audience. You know, I'm trying to produce something that I wanted to see. You know, I really like the Doug Lacey videos from Shambhala Village that he put out, well, forever ago, 7 or 8, I don't remember how long. I'll link those in the description also. Just sort of, you know, theorizing and going along with them, and so I'm trying to emulate that. So if I don't know, what do y'all think? Should I edit some of these down to really quick, fast-paced videos, or leave them long format like this? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll keep posting. Bye.